Hey guys, welcome back to Heroes of Storm. Today I'd like to talk about the different types of assassin that there are kind of under the assassin banner. So what, because of course heroes like Kael'thas aren't going to be able to do the same job in the same manner that heroes such as Illidan do. So let's talk about how they're different, where they're different, and where each of these different types of assassins, where their strength and where their weaknesses are, independently. So the first one we're going to talk about is Illidan, the people who play like Illidan, or people who you can play like Illidan, and what they do. And what I'd like to refer to these kind of champions as are the dive assassins. And the reason they're called the dive assassins is because they dive. They just pick out a target and then do serious damage to them while being very difficult to target and very difficult to get away from. And more often than not, if you don't have a very good kit for just kind of either face tanking them or getting away from them or bursting them down before they kill you, you're most likely going to die. So that's basically what they do. They'll pick out a target, either like Vala, Jaina, Reyna, all these kind of different people at the start of it, and at the start of a team fight or whenever they find them out on the map and alone, they'll go and kill them. And it's as simple as that. And there's little to nothing you can do to stop them killing you if you're in a bad situation. So that's where their strengths lie. Their strengths lie when there's multiple assassins on the enemy team that don't have enough CC to keep them alive, or don't have enough healing to keep them alive, or don't have the right tools to deal with anyone who might be coming after them. Heroes that are extra susceptible to these people are heroes such as Vala and Reyna. I would probably mark those two as the most countered by heroes like Illidan. Other heroes like Illidan that can do a similar job are heroes like Kerrigan. If you land her combo on her, you'll be able to get a lot of damage done. You can dive the backline with the Ravage. Heroes like Thrall to a significantly lesser extent, however, he can dive the backline if you're good enough with your Sundering and your Wolf that you can land. But it's very easy to escape from Thrall if you really want to. And the Butcher obviously you can charge him with your Ruthless Onslaught, is it? I can't remember what it's called, but the thing where you just run at them, knock them up in the air, the E. You can charge anyone that you really want to. But as you can see by the likes of Thrall and Illidan and the Butcher, they're all susceptible to CC. So their strengths lie when they can attack something without being disturbed. Their weaknesses lie when they can't. So if you can CC them or heal the one they're attacking or just kind of do something to deal with them very early on, they have very low health pools and they're surprisingly easy to kill. So as a little tip, if you're playing as the assassin, as the dive assassin, is pick someone that you want to dive and then consistently dive them. If you consistently go into a team fight and don't have that much success in killing them or putting them onto significantly low health, try and deal with someone else. Don't be afraid to dive a support if they are incredibly isolated. However, killing assassins is going to be your primary role. Because at the very least, if you don't kill the assassin, you're going to take heals away from the rest of their team, which in a one-for-one situation is probably worth it, considering it's very difficult to kill assassins as opposed to healing a tank or something like that. If you're up against them and they dive you, run towards your team. Never ever run away from your team. You're just making it very easy for them to just kind of chase you and kill you. However, if you are running away from them, or if they are running away from you as the diver, don't be afraid to just kind of detach. If they're on such a low health that you're comfortable that you'll be able to just use one or two abilities on them really quick, like 1-1, and they'll just die, that you've done well enough, because they can't re-engage in the team fight there without backing in, and in the meantime you can deal with something, or a healer has to leave the fight to heal them up, in which case you have the numbers advantage for a little while longer. So that's basically how to play dive assassins. They tend to be kind of weak in the early game. Their laning phase isn't very strong because of they don't have very good wave clear, and they are very susceptible to long range pokes and abilities. They are considerably strong once they get their ults. Their ults are either big damage or initiate or both. And they gradually, the rest of the game will kind of catch up to them up until usually level 16 and level 13. They have a minor power spike, 2 minor power spikes. At level 20, they normally have a relatively big power spike. So don't be afraid to take them to the late game, because you will be able to just kind of out deal with them, if that makes sense. Things like Storm Shield are incredibly effective against them. Everything that makes your team more difficult to kill is just very effective against them. So that's the dive assassins. Next we're going to talk about the other types of assassins.
My hunt continues.
So the next heroes, or the next type of assassin that I want to talk about is the auto attack assassins. Now, obviously, I just talked about how these are incredibly counterable. You can counter these types of assassins very easily with the dive assassins, but you'll kind of see the cyclical nature of the balance as I go through this video, particularly where assassins are concerned. So the auto attack assassins, what do? They auto attack things to death. They stand relatively far back in terms of they stand further back behind the tanks, around about the support line, and they will just auto attack things that come into their range. They normally have 1 or 2 escape abilities, or in the likes of Reyna they have a healing ability, and they are surprisingly easy to kill if you get them out of position, or if you just command a decent hook, some form of isolate ability, or you can dive on them. They're strong in the early game. They tend to have incredibly good wave clear, just because 1 or 2 of their abilities will be AoE, and it will be just good at taking out a whole wave and poking you down. They're really good at the beginning of team fights when people are charging in or when they're kind of posturing. They tend to have incredibly strong pokes, which is a very, very vital point to the team fight, the posturing phase. They tend to be incredibly strong in team fights if you can't dive them. If you have a dedicated healer or peel for them, it can be very difficult to deal with them, and then obviously in the meantime they can just deal massive damage to you. Their ults unlock a whole new potential for them to either deal burst damage or to deal more sustained damage, or even to push forts and stuff like that. And as they get higher and higher, they will deal more damage and become more difficult to kill. Heroes like Val will gain movement speed. Reyna will also gain movement speed, and he'll just gain more damage. He'll be just be more difficult to kill, and he'll have an easier time killing you. So their power spike they get a small power spike at every level depending on the heroes. Obviously, you'll get bigger power spikes at different points, but their main power spikes are obviously, as with most heroes, going to come at level 10 and at level 20, with some having a minor power spike at level 16. The way to play them the best, where they really shine, is when they can sit behind the tanks, right next to healers, and just auto attack things to death. When you get to higher level, and I'll quickly give you an example as I talk about this, you can really start to deal really massive damage to any enemies that really get in your way. And if you don't have someone dedicated to killing them, they will really just rip your team apart, and there's literally nothing you can do to stop them. There are a couple of things you can do. Obviously, you can have a dedicated CC. You can even have a support such as Uther and Rhaegar, just going on them and annoying them for the whole time. Or you can just have an assassin dedicated to diving them, hence the dive assassins being very effective against them, as I said in the last section of this video. So, as you can see, as I level up, or as you level up, or as everyone levels up, it's simply put, as the auto attack assassins level up, they hit significantly harder. As you see, I had a difficult time dealing with Arthur in the early game, and now look how quickly I'm killing him. That coupled with a couple of abilities. Oh no, I can't. Oh, there he is. Alright, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. Strafe, you have to see them. There's a pro tip for you. You have to be able to see them for Strafe to damage them. Strafe will not reveal, which I always forget. Where are these assassins, the auto attack assassins, weak? They are weak in the middle of a team fight. It sounds very strange, but if you can just dive them and stop them from really dealing massive damage, characters Illidan, as I say, even supports can harass them. But they are surprisingly weak, just in terms of survivability. They normally have 1, maybe 2 escapes, maybe some escape in the form of a first aid for heroes that don't have the luxury of range, such as Tychus. But other than that, they're not going to have much in the way of escape. So the best way to kind of deal with them is just force them to use their minimal escape early on. As you can see, just from the kind of how far I pushed here, they are much better at pushing forwards than the dive assassins are. But having said that, I did level myself at level 20, just to kind of give you an example of the power spikes. So if you want to play a ranged assassin very well, I would stay at the back, constantly keep an eye on your position. If you are really struggling, don't be afraid to use the H key. What that does is that initiates a hold position command. Now, I will not move, or your character will not move, and they will attack anything which comes into range. So if you are just focusing on using your auto attacks, it's kind of a cheesy thing to do, but you can basically just find someone, go like WQ, and then just stand somewhere and just start stepping back using the H key. It is surprisingly effective at just making you run, stop, shoot, run, stop, shoot. Obviously, if you want to, like, these are characters that you really need to master how to stutter step on. Stutter stepping is the art of not missing an auto while changing your position. I'm not very good at it, but stuff like that works. So as you can see, I'm advancing while still dealing damage to the wall. So those are the auto attack assassins. If you're playing against them, CC them. isolate them, bring them out of position, force them to use their escape, and then capitalise on the fact that they don't have their escape available. That's pretty much going to do it for them. They are very standard. I would say if you want to pick up one of these, go for Valor. She's incredibly cheap, and then Reyna if you don't have him already. Other than that, that's going to be that for the auto attack assassins. Next one. So the last kind of assassin that I want to talk about is what I like to refer to as artillery assassins. I would like to call them AA assassins, but of course that gets confused with auto attack assassins. Basically what that means is they use their abilities from far away or from further away and then run away. Kael'thas is incredibly good for this because he doesn't have to engage. He can just stay at the back and just keep casting his artillery abilities, whereas someone like Jaina has to use sprint to cast all of her abilities and then leave, and other assassins are available to do this as well. They, to summarise, they basically do this, and that's it, and then they will retreat for the next 3 or 4 seconds until their abilities come off, and then they do it again. And that's pretty much all they do. Characters like Jaina, who have a long cooldown, but have more bursty abilities. Kael'thas is obviously, in my opinion, he's the strongest artillery DPS at the moment, artillery assassin. But there are other very strong ones. Jaina is incredibly strong as well. They are strange heroes, in my opinion. I think that when played well, they can do the damage of at least 1.5, if not 2 assassins. They normally have minor bit of CC. Obviously, Jaina has a small CC, which is always up, and Kael'thas has a big CC, which is rarely up. And that, obviously, being in the form of his E, which is a skill shot. If it hits you, it'll stun you. Pretty simple. It hits the first target, not the first hero. So, as you can see, if I throw it into that, it will stun a minion. If I threw it into that and Arthur was in front of that minion, it would hit Arthur. Excuse me. So, their strengths really lie in just incredible damage from a seemingly impossibly far position. As you can see, I'm at level 1 and I'm hitting him pretty hard with the flame strike. However, as you can see, there's a ring on the floor that appears. This leads into one of their biggest weaknesses. They do have a tendency to be juked, and if you're good enough and you can kind of predict where he's going to land, where the next artillery strike will land, you can dodge it, which is just strong. It's incredibly useful against them. You can dodge their abilities. You can dodge the majority of their damage. As they level up higher and higher, and as team fights get more and more frantic, it's going to be more difficult to dodge them, and you're going to be punished more for getting hit by them. As you'll probably hear a lot of people say, 16 Kael'thas means game over. If you let Kael'thas get to level 16, he gains a talent called Ignite. That means that when you hit someone with your Q, they automatically get the effect of your W. That means you basically get 2 for 1 in terms of abilities. And because it is an AoE, everyone gets hit by it, which is strong because this obviously has a 10-second cooldown, so you can only put it on one person every 10 seconds. If you can hit 4 people with it, you get 40 seconds worth of cooldowns. That's a very bad way of looking at it, but you see my point. That is where the artillery assassin strength really comes into effect. Their weaknesses come when they aren't in a team that can stop the enemy team just walking up to them. As you can see, I've got 1 stun, which is on a 13-second cooldown. Obviously, I can buff it up to stun 3 people using that, but that makes the rest of my offense a little bit weaker. And if they did have someone who could just walk up and start attacking me, someone like an Illidan, or even someone like a Johanna, who is just incredibly difficult to deal with, it's surprisingly difficult for me to do anything about it once I've used my stun. And if the team gets good damage on me or good CC on me, I will just die. You'll just find yourself getting melted and dying. If that does happen to you, consider standing further back. It sounds stupid, but you really don't have to stand that close at all to get big damage off, so consider just being way back, particularly level 13. I'll get up to level 13 so I can show you this, but if you take the increased flame strike range, which I really like to take, look at how far you can cast flame strike. So I could, so say Arthur's at the gate, I could get him from, let's just get the maximum, I can get him from back here, from approximately here. That's a ridiculous distance for an ability which hits incredibly hard. If you have that up, obviously it heals for even more damage. So it's just, that really sums up how good the artillery assassins can be. However, they are susceptible to just being, hey look, he's at the back, he's killing us all, let's go deal with him, and then having an Illidan dive, or a Kerrigan dive, or an Arthur's Lander CC, or a Falstad even landing a Hinterland Blast. They don't have that much HP, and they're just incredibly easy to kill. But as you can see, the punish, that might kill him. I'm not sure it will, but it might. Oh, very close. And the thing about Kel'Thas, and the thing about a lot of the oh, either retreat into it or you come back and get autoed and die. So the thing about Kel'Thas, which is kind of different from Jaina, is Kel'Thas has a lot more zoning capabilities. Jaina has blizzards, that's about it. Kel'Thas has flame strike, which is on a lesser cooldown, hits harder, applies more debuffs, and on top of that he has Phoenix as well. And I'll show you the kind of power of Phoenix just there. So now, if he were to go into that blue ring, he would die, because it would deal so much damage to him that he wouldn't be able to deal with it. Now I have a level on him, position on him. Obviously I should have cast that a little bit better. That was way early. I should have waited for him to start to retreat. But you can see the power of that. So if you know that a team's going to be forced to escape or going to be forced to fight in a bottleneck, you can just put the Phoenix in the bottleneck and they basically will always lose the fight unless they have severe level advantage and just allow to kind of push through. So some tips for playing as Kel'Thas is stay back. Let your tanks go in first. Don't try and do any funky angles. I've tried it myself, tried to engage at some funky angles, try and do some crazy kind of ambitious stuff, and it just doesn't work. You end up just getting caught out, and then you die, and then you're like, oh, I died too much. Don't be afraid to just use one ability for a consistently long amount of time. Use your escape or your slows or whatever you have to escape. Use them sparingly and make sure you land them. It sounds really stupid, but if a Johanna's walking at you and you see that she's got a shield on, don't use your E on her. She's probably unstoppable, and that is if she doesn't say a big unstoppable above her nameplate. So yeah, just be very careful, be very conservative, and try to engage in a way you know is going to work. So if Johanna's walking in front of you, stay behind her. If she's at the gate, so say she's walking through the gate to burst out and attack their team, I would not be here. If their team's over here somewhere and I'm waiting to attack them, I would literally be standing approximately here. It just means that I'm not going to get hit by anything and they're not going to see me coming. So if they start attacking just behind the gate, I can start casting flame strikes on them, and I'm behind my gate. That's the strength of these types of assassins. And Jaina 2 has a lot shorter range, but she has sprint, she has more mobility, and she has more slows. So play these assassins conservatively. Make sure you land your skill shots, and make sure when you use your escape, you commit to escaping. I don't like seeing people using their escapes and then trying to go back in. Like they find themselves getting dived by Illidan or something. They land the stun on him, congratulations, and then instead of just running away from him and retreating to safety or running into your team, they will like do all kinds of abilities and try and kill him. And it's like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should just escape or run towards your team, do something. You're still going to die. If you're playing against Kel'Thas, wait until he uses his abilities. He isn't that good at dueling one-on-one, even though he does have a stun and the dot and all that. You can take him in a one-on-one relatively easily, but just make sure you don't get hit by his abilities. If you're a melee assassin and you're attacking him, the chances are he's going to cast his flame strike on himself. So just when you think that's going to happen, just be prepared to escape out of it. If you manage to juke one or two of his flame strikes, or his stun, and his stun, his living bomb isn't going to do that much damage. And if you force him to use Phoenix, just disengage. It's an ult. You draw an ult out. It's worth it. That's going to be pretty much it. I really only think that there's 3 types of assassins. The problem is don't take this as gospel. Don't take this as kind of a, oh, Tychus must be a auto-attack assassin, therefore I can't play him as a dive assassin. You shouldn't, because Tychus is an auto-attack assassin and so is Falstad. But you can play them as kind of the difference between the two. You can play Tychus surprisingly well as an artillery assassin by just standing at the back, casting your laser, and then moving up and playing him like an auto-attack assassin and attacking things for a little bit, and then finishing them off as a dive assassin where you E in and Q them. Like you can really blur the lines a lot. You can do the same with characters like Falstad, with characters like Jaina as well. I know I've mentioned Jaina a lot, but you can really play them how you want to play them. But you have to kind of be aware of these 3 kind of sockets, for want of a better phrase, that you put each of the assassins in, and then you know what you're doing. It allows you to be predictable, and if you play predictable well, your enemies can't deal with it, and your team know what you're going to do, so it's going to be more effective for your team to help you, which is obviously ultimately what it's all about. I really hope this has helped some people. I really hope this has helped you understand the assassin class a little better. If there's any particular class you want me to go over, like specialist warrior, or if there's any particular hero you'd like me to go over, and just say like, I'm having trouble playing Thrall, can you give me some tips on Thrall? Can you tell me really how to play him? Because there are heroes that I know a lot of people struggle with, and I want to help people with it. So I want to get some videos done on which heroes are the strongest heroes and which heroes you have a problem dealing with and which heroes you have a problem playing as. Other than that, thanks for watching. I've been Mr. G. and I'll see you next time.